So Gungner got to choose the outro, I get to choose the intro. Which I'm probably going to switch up a bit because, I'm like that. But, this is Obicha Os with Gungner and Merric here.
Hey, what's up? Again.
Now, we were given a topic by good old Alex, who we know and love somewhat.
Love you, Alex.
And it is 90s kids. This is going to be more of Jason's forte since he was born. Wait, no, he was only born a year earlier than me.
God, come on, man. What do you even do?
All right, I'm just gonna go with my thing. 90s kids are indeed getting a bit too entitled, in my opinion, and going like, oh, well, only 90 kids will get this, and it's mostly like those frigging people that sit there and worship the 90s, or not even just those people who like liking and favoriting pictures on Facebook, think that those likes are actually going to mean something in the future. So that's how I feel. But one thing that really gets me is they say to be a 90s kid, or quote-unquote 90s kid, you have to be born from 1990 or even, early 80s. Just basically you can't be born after 1996. And it's like, I was born in 1996. Yes, that kind of gives away my age a bit, but the thing is, I don't feel like I'm a 90s kid. I feel like I'm a more 2000s, early 2000s kid, since I remember stuff like, forgot the name of the show, but I know it starred a kid named Stanley. It's like,
I think the show's name actually was Stanley, or like Flat Stanley, or something like that.
Flat Stanley was a book.
Shut up.
I remember reading that as a kid too, so
I'm getting old.
Remember reading that as a kid too, so that's part of my childhood. But as a kid, I don't have much memories of watching TV. I mean, I remember the original series of Pokemon. Then again, they re-aired that to crap anyway, so that really doesn't matter. I remember Sonic Adventure 2 from my childhood. I remember Mario 64 from my childhood. And, Mario 64 came out the year I was born. So, there's that. I remember it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm a 90s kid. That could mean that we didn't get a GameCube until early 2002.
Nintendo 64, right? You mean 64,
yeah,
right?
Because I had a Nintendo 64 and we didn't get a GameCube until early 2002, so we kept on playing the N64, which we had that.
I just wanted to make sure that you understood where you could have potentially gone
Dude,
wrong.
I was just kind of busy playing my Game Station 96.
No, I was busy playing my Dreamcast.
Setting a Gamecast.
Dreamcast, son.
Okay.
Alright, here's my spiel on the whole thing about 90s kids. Alright, you want to know my whole thing on 90s kids? I'm getting real sick of you 90s kids. You want to know why? Okay, I was born, I will tell you my exact birthday. I was born December 7th, 1994. Which, you know what I say? Screw the 90s. Yeah, I said it. They sucked for me. They were a terrible time. Sure, the TV shows were good. I'll deal with that. Some of the video games were good. Yeah, I'll deal with that. But, everything else sucked. My life in the 90s was terrible. And you want to know something else? I'm getting real sick of you stupid like whores that are all like, oh, only 90s kids will remember this. And then it's a picture of like Ed and something. You want to know something? Want to know one big slap to your stupid logic? Oh, hey. Guess what? There are people born in 1976. Yes, I said it. 76. Oh my god. Gungnir, what are you doing? You said 1976. That's not in the 90s. But they remember. Oh wait, we got a wiki on night.
Nah, I just did this on Ed and Eddie. Turns out Ed and Eddie officially ended 2009. And, I think the actual episodes ended around, 2004-ish.
Somewhere around there.
So, I remember seeing this as well, a lot as a kid as well.
But, back to what I was saying, now, Ed and Eddie may not have been my perfect example, but there are also shows like, Real Monsters or The Big Comfy Couch. There are people born later than 1976 who remember those shows. There are people who are... What I love that just caused instant diffusion.
I decided to type boobies in the Google search box. I didn't put enter. I am
such a dick.
Okay, so yeah, go on.
Anyway, so when you say only 90s kids will remember this, that pretty much says to me that in 1989 everyone was well and fine, and then January 1st, 1990, at exactly midnight, everybody born before 1990 simultaneously went into a coma until January 1st, the year 2000. And then suddenly sprang back to life and couldn't remember the 90s. Only the kids who could have been born in the 1990s through some strange, stork, weird continuum thing, because everybody who was born before the 90s just went into a coma. So everybody else who was born in the 90s had to be born through the stork, who we all know isn't real, but I'm going to use it anyway, so because, you know what, screw you.
Wait, I wasn't born by a stork?
You were born by a stork.
Oh, okay, I'm just making sure.
Oh, by my logic, you were born by a stork because mom and dad just went into a coma on January 1st, 1990, because they can't remember the 90s, because only 90s kids can remember 90s shows.
Jesus, that sounds problematic.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know how you were raised. I don't get it.
Well, not in the 90s, apparently.
So
Alright.
that's my feel on the 90s kids. I'm getting sick of this over-entitlement because you were born within 10 years. I can't stand it.
Yeah, the other thing that I have to add to this is, you know, everybody says, oh, video games are better in the 1990s, and it's like,
That's
okay.
not true.
Well, okay,
eh.
I have to elaborate.
Yeah, go ahead.
1996 had one of the greatest games, which was Mario 64. But whenever you're making a list, and this is what I do, I can't put stuff like Banjo-Kazooie on the same list as stuff as Infamous. Because, of course, the games that I played as a kid are going to stick with me, whether they were good or whether they were bad.
Yeah.
There was a Dracula game in particular for the Game Boy Color, I think. It's like Dracula Crazy Vampire. But I remember playing that as a kid, and I found it interesting. And then I played it recently, and I was like, oh, God. Was I, like, special education as a kid? This sucks. And a lot of games are like that. Just, the reason why I think they're so good is because of memories. I'm not saying that's how I feel about Banjo-Kazooie, because Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, Bomberman 64, and a bunch of the other games, such as Kirby 64, Crystal Shards, and just to name a few, were all really great games. However, whenever you're like actually making a list, it's like people just either forget about them altogether, or there are only those games on the list, and then it's gonna spark a war between the people who are all like, oh, what about, say, Call of Duty 17? Oh God, that's okay. I'm not actually.
That's actually gonna happen now that you said it.
I'm not gonna pick on Call of Duty. That's what everybody else
That's bad
does.
territory. Bad territory.
But you know, there's gonna be the people who complain about it no matter what. I will admit, during the 90s, they focused on a lot of different things. They focused on the sound, focused on the visuals, and they focused on the overall feel of a game. The atmosphere to me is really important for a game. It can easily make or break it. The audio is one thing that's been really, really terrible as of late, and that's what a bunch of people are saying. With Call of Duty, there's generic guitar riff 1, generic guitar riff 2, and level up guitar riff, or that's for Black Ops. I know, apparently in the first Call of Duty, the compositions were amazing. But, you know, that's something I have to judge for myself. It's something that I have to go do. This is something that I have on my backlog.
Yep.
However, I will be honest with you. Lollipop Chainsaw, one of the most recent games I've played, or one of the newest games I've played. Yeah, I know it came out a bit ago. Just don't pay attention to me. Has one of the greatest soundtracks that I've heard, since all of them stick with me and they get stuck in my head, and I decided to get the OST just because I love it so much. Persona 4 Arena has some of the greatest music I've heard.
Oh, it gets stuck in my head all the time. I'd also like to point out Persona 3 myself. I'm sorry, I am a huge fan of Persona 3. I actually love that game because the multi-layered story and the multitude of feels that it has, but also the music that goes along with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what helps it. For great games to be great, in my opinion, to stick with me, I have to, like, immediately be able to recognize just about everything in the game. Like, for instance, I see a character and oh yeah, that's Minato Arisato, which that's his manga name. But since he has no official main name and MC just sounds stupid, people call him Minato Arisato. For with Persona, like for instance, I just have the entire Persona 4 soundtrack and probably parts of Persona 3 soundtrack and almost all of Persona 4 Arena soundtrack on my iPhone right now, which that's gonna make me sound like a freaking hipster with the it's on my iPhone. But then again, hipsters use Zune, so you know I've diffused myself there. However, after hearing one of the soundtrack songs, yeah, I could have just said songs. But after hearing one of the songs, Joy, it just sort of puts me through a trance that I played during the game, which was the trance. The song itself usually played after you went out with one of the friends in the game. If you went out with one of your friends, then this is commonly the song that would be played. The song is incredibly catchy and gets stuck in your head and will just kind of stay there. Therefore, I make it a point to listen to. The ending boss theme is the same. Well, one thing that I found genius is the ending boss theme is the same as the intro theme, which would be Bird My Dread Final Battle Remix. That sort of puts me just basically going back and remembering all of that, and putting it at the end of the game and the beginning of the game is genius. Especially since, I didn't really remember the song too well, but then when I was listening to it, and after I started New Game Plus, it was just like, oh, that's the same song! And that just sticks with me. Stuff like that was genius, and that's what a lot of newer games are lacking. So that's probably why 90s kids feel that, older games are better, is because the soundtracks were pretty much greater. But due to the modern era coming in, you could have a different song for every level, instead of in Mario 64, there's 3 water levels, I think, and they all share one song, which is Dire Dire Docks. Dire Dire Docks might be awesome, but however, that could lead for more compositions.
And feels.
I think that's just going to be the theme for this. It's just
feels, man.
Feels. And let's see. I think that's about all I have, except for, 90s shows were cracked in their own regard, and they had their own sort of trademark humor. But one constant debate that's brought up is, oh, did they used to push the bar back in the 90s? Like, for instance, they'd make jokes in the 90s, and it's like, oh, you can't make these jokes now. But then with, you watch TV nowadays, it's like, oh, they wouldn't allow this 10 years ago, and it's like, pick a goddamn side. There are a lot of I've never actually sat there watching a 90s show going, oh, you can't say this now. That would be in poor taste. Because I'm a sadistic son of a bitch. I laugh at weird things. So,
I wouldn't exactly say weird, but dark.
The only thing that I could really think of that would be like, oh, you can't joke around about this is jokes that didn't exist. Like, for instance, after watching TV for as long as I have, and after researching stuff on the internet for as long as I have never, ever heard a joke about, okay, this is just gonna...
9/11.
That's what it was going to be. I've never heard any jokes on the Twin Towers themselves before they crashed. Before they crashed, no one ever said, hey, what's a twin building? What? The Twin Towers? Oh, okay. And then people would say, that kind of joke would be allowed now because those are destroyed. It's like, it wouldn't be allowed. It just wouldn't be hysterical. It wouldn't be hysterical back then either. The jokes that people are saying, oh, you can't joke about this now, it's because they weren't funny in the first place. If you were joking about a 14-year-old getting raped and all of a sudden a 14-year-old rape is on the news, that joke wasn't funny to begin with. It's not like, hey, what'd be funny to happen to this 14-year-old? What? They get raped? That doesn't happen.
Rape. Yes, rape.
Rape jokes aren't funny.
They're really not. I don't know why I'm laughing right now.
Neither do I. I think it's because it's the ridiculousness about people.
I don't know.
Okay, rape isn't funny.
It's
I'll beat
really
your ass does not condone rape. I'll beat your ass does not condone sex with another person if they don't agree to it.
Remember, no means no.
And remember, hearing aids are always necessary. If you cannot hear them say no, read their freaking lips.
If they say no, don't do anything.
So this is where things are going tonight.
All right.
I'm
gonna distract him now. Go to bed. You're drunk. Anyway.
I actually think that's it. That's pretty good.
But go to bed. But my final feel on 90s kids before I play an outro song.
Oh yeah, intro.
Shut up. We don't talk about this.
Yeah, we're recording. Good. Oh, 13.
Oh wow, I'm gonna make this quick. My final thing on 90s kids is I'm getting real sick of you guys, and honestly, coming from a 90s kid, if you really shut up, swear to God, Merric.
Air quotes.
Air quotes, man, they're deadly. But coming from a 90s kid or air quotes 90s kid, I honestly prefer the 80s.
Oh, you didn't even grow up in the 80s.
I wasn't even born in the 80s. I like them better. So, my thing is, you're getting too over entitled. Stop getting over. Just grow up. Get over it. The times are over. Live in the present. If you keep going in the past, you're gonna just get depressed over yourself, and then
I kind of get what you're saying. It's like you don't have to be born in a specific era to appreciate a certain era.
Exactly. That's not the case.
Guess what? This means I'm an 1890s kid. Roll the outro.
Oh, I gotta find it again.
Oh,
stall.
Owltopia.
Come on, you're not giving me enough time.
I don't even know what the hell Owltopia came from.
Alright, specific from this rant, here's your outro. This is Admin Gungnir and Admin Merric
God, make that
saying
goddamn song.
peace out.
Let's just, I don't even.